Berry Gordy, the Lifetime Achievement Award, he said the first place he sent his audience was Washington, D.C. If he sent Motown to Washington and if they made it in D.C., that act was going to make it anywhere in the country. And he said the reason why is because D.C. had the most sophisticated audiences.
Roll sound.
Have you seen No Budget Films documentaries on YouTube? They salute the many unsung stars of DMV music and culture. Yeah, I love it. It's crazy good.
The name is Bond, James Bond.
Most of the guys are from T.C. Williams or from Alexandria?
That's correct.
Lynn Haven area?
That's correct.
Do you do any shows in the community or outside the community?
We do plenty of shows in the community and outside the community. Dumfries, Corey Kelly, Charles Houston.
Well, this next thing we're going to do is not really what you could say a title song. This is just a piece that we put together to keep it grooving, whatever.
This is real go-go. This is real go-go. Listen, all you gentlemen, I appreciate you coming. I hope that we can have you back in the future. You know, and once again, thank you all very much for being here. All right.
She loved me, reaching deeply into mine, reaching deeply into mine, reaching deeply into mine, walking softly, holding hands, reaching deeply into mine, reaching deeply into mine, reaching deeply into mine, reaching deeply into mine, walking softly, holding hands, walking softly, holding hands, walking softly, holding hands, walking softly, holding hands, reaching deeply into mine, 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 reaching deeply into mine,
Heights, Falmouth Heights High School. This is it right here. I mean, but you know, it's a new Falmouth High School now that they rebuilt. But you know, this is where all the legacy, all the memories. You know, and I played up here before. Matter of fact, you know, a few of the bands. I believe the Northeast Groovers play. I believe Northeast Groovers played here. I played here with Mission Band, and you know, Mission Band was a high school band that, you know, a lot of the musicians went to Falmouth Heights. And a lot of the members some of the members were in, you know, sports football. And we created a band called Mission Band. And we played at the homecoming. We played at, you know, some of the dances that we have here, you know. So Falmouth Heights, that's what it is right here, y'all. Good memories right here, good old folks from Chapel Oaks, Falmouth Heights crew. You already know it. There you go, right there.
This guy that we have today is, man, iconic in his own right. You talking about percussions. We done had some Congo players on here. I think, you know, I always say, man, and I told your main man, or what it was, I said, you can only be first once. Now check this out. This guy here is the first drummer on the Boo Jones show. We done had Congo.
Oh, that's great.
This is the first drummer on the Boo Jones show. It's my man. And we haven't never hung out or nothing yet. But now once you get here, you're family. So
That's
without
it.
further ado, I give y'all Jammin Jeff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me on here, man. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all the love for the go-go music. You know, we've been doing this forever since we was kids. It's in our bones, it's in our blood, it's in our heart, and this is something that we want to continue. And then when we gone, we want the youth to continue and to keep the legacy going, man. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. You know, everything that I'm doing is trying to, you know, reserve the legacy, keep the music going, and, you know, just don't forget what we used to do and where we came from. And we can't just forget the foundation of the music. So appreciate what you're doing, what you guys doing, and, you know, just keeping everything going, man. We definitely appreciate it and we definitely love it. That's for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to piggyback on what you're saying, Jeff, that's the mission. This is a labor of love for us. So we don't care about the numbers and all that stuff, because you can go back in the archives and get this interview right here of Jammin Jeff. And
that's it.
Yeah. So what we want to do, we want to start off from the little Jeff all the way up to the present time. So
all right.
I want to ask you, man, tell them your name, where you came from, man, and we'll take it from there.
All right, yep. I'm known as Jammin Jeff. Call me Jammin Jeffrey Warren. And, you know, I'm from the DMV area. I grew up around Falmouth Heights, Chapel Oaks area. The whole area was filled with, you know, go-go bands and musicians, you know, just trying to get their name out there and get their bands off the ground. Right close to us, it was Falmouth Heights High School. A lot of musicians come from Falmouth Heights. A lot of top name musicians came from Falmouth Heights. A lot of drummers. Definitely can't forget, you know, all the guys. I don't want to get the naming names and forgetting people, but, you know, you have a roster of musicians come from the area and, you know, born and raised Chapel Oaks, COC crew.
Is that what you wanted that time? Holla at me, big brother. Is that what you wanted that? What you talking about back there, big brother? Talking about put it in the pocket, big brother. You want to take it all the way down? All the way down. Right on. All right. Hey, look here, fellas. Coco Toddy said that wasn't safe enough. We got to back it on up. All right. Hey, Kiko, he said it wasn't safe, big brother. Get warmed up, big brother, all right? That's good stuff for y'all.
And, you know, from my area, you know, where we came from, you know, we was doing pots and pans, like the junkyard thing in the beginning. And, you know, just coming from that, watching all the musicians in the neighborhood as a young kid growing up watching them. And it was a gentleman in particular, a guy by the name of Poochie,
always give love to Poochie, you know, because Poochie was from the beginning. And I watched him as a kid, man, and he just went from there. And my buddy Daryl Matthews, he's my best friend today. He's still playing out there. And, you know, I used to go see a band called Quality Band, and Quality Band used to practice in the shed in the back.
What's that stuff, y'all? What's that stuff, T-Bang? What's that stuff, man? What's that stuff? What's that stuff, Thriller? What's that stuff, Bebop? What's that stuff, Lisa? What's that stuff, Ubi? Talk about what's that stuff in the aluminum foam. Oh, you might be talking about a chemical gold. You smoke too much, you might lose control. They're gonna rock your throat. When you start the cane, it makes you go insane. We just here to entertain. Now listen, try your brain go low. Try your brain pie. Try your brain fat. Try your brain Ubi. Try your brain love it. Try your brain man. We talk about what's that stuff? What's that stuff, y'all? What's that stuff? What's that stuff? What's that stuff? What's that stuff?
And they used to tell me, "You're too young. You got to get out of here." And you know, I used to be hard headed and try to come here and rehearse and practice anyway, man. And I just learned, man. Just kept going, and you know, just really was determined to learn. And you know, hey, hey, look, I'm here.
Okay, well, you know, like I told you, I gotta get to the roots, right? What elementary you went to, man?
I went to Hyattsville Elementary School.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of kids from our neighborhood really was supposed to go to C Pleasant, but I guess where we lived at, they shipped us out to Hyattsville. But middle school, I went to Greenbelt Middle. A lot of musicians came out of Greenbelt. Also, you know, I started as a young age, walking back and forth from Chapel Oaks to Palmer Park. And the Kentland area, I was playing with my buddy named the Zoo. There you go. My buddy named Corey. My buddy named
Call
Corey.
me
Douglas.
Frosty. If you are from Chapel Oaks, Seat Pleasant, Palmer Park, Columbia Park, Kentland, Beaver Heights, Glen Arden, Landover, Washington Heights, Holly Park, Booker T, Glen Willow, Cedar Heights, Capitol Heights, or Central Gardens, you know we weren't going for nothing. Salute our brother, Jammin Jeff.
And we had a band back in the day. Yeah, man, I was in every band that you can name growing up as a kid.
What was the name of that band you guys had?
Well, my first band was called Total Groove. We started out around the neighborhood. We started off with the pots and pans, and you know, then we went from playing pots and pans to regular, you know, instruments when we was able enough to kind of buy them on our own. Actually, you know, starting in that first band, Total Groove, that's where I got the name Jammin Jeff from, because my buddy Greg Hall, you know, rest in peace, you know, he was the beginning of it all too with us. And, you know, I love Jimmy Jam back in the day. We love Hot Cold Sweat. And he was like, "Dad, won't you, you know, call your name Jammin Jeff since it's Jimmy Jam?" And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's good. So, you know, he really started that off, Jammin Jeff. And, you know, we would record. Man, I had tapes and everything, man. Us pots and pans from the beginning, but I don't know what happened to them. And, you know, it just went from there, man, with the name. And, you know, we just kept it going, went from Total Groove. Then, you know, the band in around Kentland, Palmer Park. I forgot the name that we did. I couldn't remember. We was like a basement school band at the time. We was playing at a lot of little basement parties when we was younger. I can't remember the name. And then, you know, from there, man, just went on, and we had to, I played in a lot of the little bands at the talent shows at Family Heights. And then from there, went from playing in my band Total Groove. Then I got to audition to play with Quality Band, and then Quality Band. Then went from Quality to Hot Cold Sweat. No, Main Connection. Can't forget about Main Connection, my man Antoine. And Antoine really pushed my name, Jammin Jeff, really made it really famous, the way how he used to pronounce it. And, you know, the way how Jammin Jeff. And I think maybe that's where rapper got it from. I'm not sure. But, you know, Twan kind of made it famous, and then went from Main Connection. Then after Main Connection, I went to Hot Cold Sweat. Now I can't forget like some of the other bands like Mission Band. Can't forget Mission Band. My man Kevin Henderson, Dave Watley, Willie Green, the whole crew, Family Heights crew. We had a high school band too, but I didn't play drums. I played the guitar. I was
Okay.
playing
Okay.
chucking
Multitask.
with that
Okay.
band, and so that was called Mission Band. And from Mission Band, like I said, Hot Cold Sweat. Then after Hot Cold Sweat, boom, Northeast Grooves, and the rest was history from there.
What's up? What's up? Stop the band! Stop the killing! You will find out one of these days. We moving up and we up and coming. We're going up the world! Hey!
It's Metro World, #1 TV show on the lane.
Oh, Metro World.
So look.
Hey, boo, hold up for your next session. Ask him to teach us about, he mentioned Poochie. Poochie is a very legendary figure, unsung. About Poochie, the Ebony Inn, Quality Band, Go-Go Wild, and that crew, because it's very important for him to salute them. Only he can teach us this history. Because if you don't mind, please tell us about your neighborhood and your upbringing, because Family Heights is really a mecca. That's all I'm going to say.
Go ahead. That's where I was getting ready to go to. But about what he just said about the Quality Band, what Kevin was talking about, teach us about that and growing up in Fairmont Heights, because both of those things are very important.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So yeah, man, growing up in Fairmont Heights, man, it was definitely a time. It was good when we was young kids. Y'all already know, the olden days is the best days when we was growing up. And, just being able to run around and, everybody else plays sports, football, basketball, that kind of stuff. But me, I wanted to play drums. So I didn't see, I didn't look to the left or the right. I just looked straight playing the drums. And growing up around the neighborhood, man, it was the greatest, because you would have, in the summertime, I would see my buddy Daryl Matthews, when I would see him come down the street in the cart, they would have a shopping cart with all the equipment and the buckets. When we see that, we knew, man, it was time. Hey, get your tape recorder, man. They about to jam at the park. And, when the band started up, the whole neighborhood just came out because they heard the music, and everybody just started coming out. Back then we ain't had to worry about all the crazy stuff we worry about now. So, we could have fun, and, they could play until the police come. A lot of times they wouldn't call the police because, the neighborhood was cool. But when the police did come, boom, that was it. But it was like a block party of, just from them playing Quality Band back in the day when they first started out. And they used to play at a park right across the street from my house. And right next to the park, it was a house that had electric. So they would steal electric from the house. And it was like a brand new build house that had electric on the outside. At the time they took the electric from there, man, it was a party. Once the electric was on, oh man, everything was good to go with the band. So growing up in Fairmont Heights, man, Chapel Oaks, man, that was the greatest, because, I watched a lot of these guys as kids. My man Poochie, Poochie was definitely, he was a go hard drummer. Poochie, they call him Lightfoot at the time, but he was really heavy foot, because Poochie had that real hard drive. So that's really where I started to develop my sound from, just watching Poochie. And Poochie had this little thing he do on the cymbals. He grabbed the cymbals, and I do it today, but that's Poochie. It ain't me. I got it from him. And, I took it and just, kind of remixed it. And, now you see it in the Northeast Groovers videos and stuff like that, but that's Poochie. That's all Poochie. I learned from him. I watched him, and I just went from there and just grew from there. And, and then watching Quality Band practice, my buddy Daryl Matthews, I started out going to their rehearsal. A friend of mine named Courtney McKissick, he was the leader of the band. He was real tough. Courtney was a real tough guy, and, he was real stern on the musicians, and, it was closed practice. Boom, you couldn't come in, but me and my buddy, my best friend named Lorenzo, my buddy named Fats. You know, we was all in the band, and Charles too, in the band that I grew up in, and we would sneak and just try to, just hang outside the little shed in the back and just, kind of like hit and play. And man, it was just the greatest because being able to grow up in a neighborhood where you wanted to be in the band, but all the band guys would grew up right around your way. And then I can't forget as we start getting older and as I start learning who these fellas were and who the players were, like Go-Go Wally.
All right, that's what we talk about. All right, good to see Go-Go Don. All right, where's the rest of that Chapel Oaks crew at, y'all? Where they at? Now what y'all say? Go-Go, who y'all? Who y'all want? I don't say it like it is, y'all. What y'all say? Y'all want who now? Go-Go, who y'all?
Go-Go Money. I played with Go-Go Money, was Congo player. Wally was the greatest back in the day. Boojay, can't forget about Boojay. Boojay was the greatest back in the day. I can't never forget, it was one quality recording that, it was like iconic. It was like Boojay and Ty Randall. Tip Top Ty. Wait, I'm getting it wrong. Ty Randall was rapping. It's two Ties, Tip Top Ty and Ty Randall. So Ty Randall was rapping. Boojay was playing Congo. I think they was playing the Landover Hills Firehouse, man. I'll never forget it. That was the greatest show of all coming up around that time. And then I can't forget, too, growing up in the neighborhood, we had a lot of shows in our neighborhood. Like we had Beaver Heights. I remember EU played at Beaver Heights. I remember Trouble. A bunch of bands played throughout the neighborhood. And I can't forget Incarnation Church. That's around, not too far from around my way on the DC line, because we right with the DC line on Northeast side with Chapel Oaks and Falmouth Heights. We had the Church of Incarnation. Big Butch used to have shows there. We had the Pick Center. Butch used to have shows at the Pick Center. And all that is not too far from where I grew up at, around by Ebony Inn. And then, of course, Ebony Inn had a little bit of, stuff up there back in the day when we was young. And, just the whole history of the area, we had a lot, like I keep saying, a lot of musicians came from the area. Then I can't forget one in particular, my man Kiko, Dwayne, and Ricky Wellman. All of them was from around the way. Their family was from around the way. Like I said, Wally.
Sugarfoot Ricky is what they call
Sugarfoot Ricky. Yep, Sugarfoot Ricky. And all of those guys was the greatest. You talking about musicians that played with Miles Davis, Kigo playing with EU at the time. Kigo was in high school. Matter of fact, true story, Kigo had a locker right beside mine. And I used to see him, like, dang, man, I knew he was a drummer. I knew he was playing, he was playing with EU at the Capitol Center in 12th in high school. Like, that's incredible to play with a band on that level in high school. And his locker was right beside mine. I always say, man, I'm gonna be like that guy when I grow up. And Kiko, Kiko used to dress real good, real fly guy, had the pretty girls. And I remember one day he had a mink coat in school. I said, hey, this guy's killing it. I said, man, I'm gonna be just like him growing up. And I didn't really know Kiko because I was a little young and he was older, but I always, hey man, what's up, man? He cranking on the drums. And, I was, getting into my element around that time. So yeah, man, I was surrounded by all the best, man. Surrounded by all the greatest. Kigo, Wally World, Poochie, my man Daryl and Courtney and Clinton Truesdale. Can't forget about Clinton. Clinton, greatest keyboard player, played for a lot of artists, musicians. He played with us back in the day. And, again, when you name the names, you forget people, and I don't want to forget people. But, man, we grew up around a lot of great people. And my man, I can't forget the Savoys, Hank and all of them. I learned from Hank, too. Hank Savoy. Hank helped me out as a kid, keeping me in the bands and stuff like that. I can't forget Hank. I played with Hank, too. Dang, I forgot about Hank. I know Hank gonna say, dang, Jeff, you forgot me. But, yeah, shout out to my man Hank Savoy. Can't forget about the Savoys. All of them was a part of my legacy growing up, playing drums as a young kid. And then one more thing I can't remember. My uncle, best friend, I think when I was a young kid, how I really got kind of, attached to drums, because they had a drum set in our basement. My uncle had a band, and I can't forget the gentleman name. I think his name was Jerry. I can't remember. He always talk about me, send me messages and stuff. I can't remember his name, but he had a drum set in the basement, and I used to always sneak and try to play the drum set. And I think that's where a lot of my passion came in as a drummer, as a little kid. And, so like I said, man, growing up in the Falmouth Heights area, man, we had a lot of a lot of great musicians from the area that, you know, wanted you to grow, and me just looking at them and just wanted to be like them. And then also, I can't forget, like I said, we had a park right across the street. And a guy by the name of Vance had all the go-go tapes. Like, just like Woody, you buy all the tapes from Woody, you buy all the tapes from Vance around my way. So Vance would have every tape on the face of the earth. Red S's, EU. Back in the day when I was a kid, EU was my band because I loved Juju.
Oh, you doing something?
Juju was my top idol, and I love Juju, and my goal was to play like Juju. And EU was my favorite band. So in the park, man, they would play all the Red S's from the Coliseum, High Theater, you know, all the old stuff. So that's how I got hooked in learning really how to play, because I listened to all the old music from back in the day in our neighborhood. You know, a lot of older guys older than me, they all went to the go-go, and, you know, just really listening and following them, and, you know, just went from there, man.
Don't be out here trying to claim my hood. I don't know ya. Turn state witness ass if you was a roller.
You know that's very significant. I want our listeners, the viewers, to know this, that when you include the roots, you get a better outcome. You know, and lately, and you can contest to this, they've been leaving the roots out. Just certain parts that's popular they'll talk about.
Can't leave the roots out, man. That's the beginning. The roots is how we're here. We're here because of the roots. We're here because they laid the foundation. And that's the thing that, I'm not going to say trouble me, but that's the thing. I'm like, wow, how can I fix it? How can Jeff be a person that would see what the issue is and try to fix it and make it better? We forgetting the foundation of the go-go. I guarantee if you ask a lot of people, hey, what is the definition of go-go? What's the meaning of go-go? They can't tell you. Where did go-go come from? And it's a lot of education that I want to learn, that I want to know also. What is the roots of go-go? I want to be able to just to say it freely. Because when somebody do ask me, I'm like, I got to think about it. But it's a gentleman by the name of Tillery, Donald Tillery. He played trumpet. He played with me. He played on the jazz, kind of like the jazz and the corporate band circuit. He used to play with Chuck Brown. He's the original horn player of Chuck Brown and Soul Searchers. His name Don Tillery, and he played two trumpets. And if you was to listen to him, man, he gives you like a real good story of where go-go came from and the history of it. And man, I would really like to sit down with him again. And maybe that's something you guys can do, and really, you know, to educate all of us on the history of the go-go, not just an idea of it, but the true meaning of history. So if you say, what's Black History Month? We know that. We know what that's about. We know we can say it right off the top of our head without guessing and trying to figure out and be wrong about it. So go-go, what is the foundation? What is the history? You know, that's something that I think we all really should know, and it should be in writing somewhere that we can know for sure where it came from and what it's about. And there's a video that's circulating that Chuck Brown says a lot about the history. And really, for me, that's the history that I use from him, from that video of him saying the history of where go-go came from.
Now when you come through the go-go, like the one who's not so fun, it is better.
Yeah, and not only the history, but who were some of the bricklayers? And you spoke about it about up there in Fairmont Heights. Nobody knew this, so people, they're getting this for the first time from the Jeff's mouth, from the Jammin Jeff's mouth. You know,
that's it.
So you on the ground with it. So that's why we do this here, so we can get on the ground, right in the trenches. Everybody was in the trenches.
That's it.
So you was in the trenches of that Fairmont Heights how they came out and how they, made a contribution. And so we definitely salute you for that too, man, because this is how it's done.
That's it. Yep.
Tell true stories.
True stories. That's it.
Yeah, we get flowers while you still can smell them. And we tell true stories because, like my man say, like Captain Ruffin say, true stories matter.
That's it. True stories matter.
Me and Jeff will talk right when I get off here.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jeff. And you talked about Fairmont Heights and the music, but just as a young black man growing up in the environment, because see, I know a little history about the streets. So, and Fairmont Heights was one of the, one of them coming up.
Yes, it was.
So in that environment, man, how did you stay away from the criminal aspect?
For me, man, as a little kid growing up in the Chapel Oaks Fam Heights area, yes, you're right. We had a lot of history of a lot of things going on: drugs, alcohol, drinking, gambling, fighting, killing. Just like any other neighborhood that we all grew up in. Of course, I was surrounded all. Right in the trenches of it, but for me, I'm just a determined kind of person to kind of go another way. I always went my own way. I never went the way of everybody else. And man, it's crazy, a lot of us from the neighborhood, we all sold drugs and did everything except for me. I'm the only one. Well, let me not say that I'm the only one, because I don't know. But majority of a lot of the folks that I grew up with, everybody, went to the left, went to the right. And man, I was the working guy in the neighborhood, man. And of course, I'm sure it was a lot of other ones, but a lot of people was in the street, and we had a lot of big people that was in the street that was from the neighborhood. I can't forget, Carl Mantack. A lot of people were scared of him. Carl used to beat up a lot of people, and I remember the C Pleasant crew. All those guys, would come in, and it's some names that I remember, like Steve Hester. I always remember Steve's name. Greg used to always talk about Steve, and all these guys, man, that would, guys that, and you growing up, you look up to these guys like Steve, and can't forget my man Kickstand. I don't know if y'all know Kickstand.
Oh yeah,
that's my man.
Yeah.
He doing DJing now. Shout out to Kick. And a lot of these guys, man, as kids, as growing up, you look up to these guys. Like these guys were the saviors of the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And but for me, just trying to stay on the right path. I always was a hustler as far as worker. And it's so crazy, man, back in the early, what was this, 90, I don't know if it was in the 80s or 90s, everybody had the convertible BMWs, the 318s, 325s around that time. Man, I had one too, but guess how I had? I had it by working at Domino's and Pizza Hut at the same time. So I had what everybody had, but I worked for it, and I was determined to, just to do the right thing. And another thing that saved me was the drums. The drums saved me because when everybody went another way, I went to play drums, growing up as a kid, and then also in Falmouth Heights, I was in the music band in school. And, I was in a lot of bands growing up as a kid just playing drums. So I would go out, hang out with my buddies. I went out with my buddies. They did things they wasn't supposed to do, stealing from the 7-Eleven on the DC side. Because, we right across from Northeast side. So we'd go over there. They go on the 7-Eleven and, I think I might have stole a bag of chips or something, but then I was to the point like, nah, man, I don't want to do this. But, I would go with them and they would do stuff, bad stuff. And I remember we went on DC side one time and we were just walking and my buddy pushed me into this guy. He just stole him in the face. And I'm just like, and as youngins, we think that's fun. That's fun, that's laughing. We would do stuff like that. But then I just got to a point like, man, I gotta, let me just stay on the right side. I don't want to go left or right. And I just was always a good kid, man, growing up. You know what I'm saying? I just always wanted to do the right thing. And like I said, I was surrounded by all the, who's of the neighborhood and of the streets. But, I always, just decided to go another way, and it's so crazy. I was always friends with the big time, guys, because of the go-go. The go-go bring a lot of, the guys to the show. So because of me playing, being a drummer, I was always good friends with the big dudes in the street. You know what I'm saying? But again, I always just went the right way and just done the right thing. And, honestly, I ain't really never been in no trouble because I always wanted to stay on the right path. I've been in trouble, but I ain't been in, a bunch of trouble, and I would honestly say the drums really saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Because that kept me out of trouble. And I never forget it. It was one day around my way, somebody got killed, and it was the day that we had a cookout, and I was going to stay at the cookout. It's right by my house, and I went to play. And when I came back, I heard about it, and I said, "See, if I was here, you never know. What if I would have been in the way of that situation happening?" But me being always gone, it just kept me in a good place.
Hey, Jungle Boogie, take it on back. Take it on back now. Get it. Now, how's that been? Is that all right, Ben? Oh, you want to come out now? Can you hear the bass player? Good go. Now, we still waiting on my man Neverlord and TV and all the rest of that Northwest gang now. Cause we missed y'all last night now. We missed all that crew last night now. Now we up here to party with y'all.
Now, I just want to ask this, and then we can come back to where you took us, because you've been driving pretty good. So, what age was you, and what inspired you to pick music and the drums specifically?
Different roles back in the day, go-go. We're going to give you the 3 roles. Sugarfoot. Rick. Then you had myself. Foots. I used to watch this. Y'all watch me? Always, never congressional. Always had it had the power. Now, Sugarfoot was the only.
So I would say probably around about 6th to 7th grade. That's when I really took a really strong look at the drums. Again, I think it was from when my uncle had a band when I was a young kid and they had drums in the basement. And I would kind of fiddle-faddle around with the drums and sneak on the drums when they was all gone and try to play. I ain't really know nothing about it. And I think as I got into 6th grade to 7th grade, that's when it really kind of cultivated me. And I don't remember the time when the band quality started. A lot of it really stems from that as well, too, from when quality would bring the buckets and stuff like that. I don't remember that age, but I guess it has to be probably around 7th or 8th grade when they was doing that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk to, when we get off, I'm going to call Daryl and ask him, when did they start that? Because that is a good question. When did I start getting really introduced to trying to, wanting to play the drum? But it had to be around that time, man, around 6th grade, around 7th grade. That's when I had a little more freedom as a kid to be able to, do what I wanted to do. And I would never forget, I was working for Washington Post Washington Post and Washington Times newspaper. And I wasn't selling newspapers, but I was selling subscriptions and I was making bank, as a young kid. So I was in like 8th grade, man, I was making a killing. So I was able to buy my own drum set. So around, I think it was 7th or 8th, I bought my own brand new drum set. And that's when I really got into it, really just practicing as a young kid, listening to all the music and, pretty much going from there. But yeah, I'm gonna chat with my buddy Daryl and find out what age was that when we was really into the music like that.
Landover Mom, you love it all. You love it all, Landover Mall.
I love it. I love it. The Hecht Company, Woody's, Garfinkel, and Sears opening soon.
125 fantastic shops and restaurants.
6 movie theaters.
Now open on the Beltway, exit 32 at Landover Road in Maryland.
You love it all, Landover.
So challenges, and like I said, man, we get into to the core. Challenges, man. Did you come out of 2-parent household?
So for me, it was I had one parent. Growing up around Chapel Oaks, around the way, everybody had their struggles with, finances and growing up in the hood. I mean, not really hood. I wouldn't really say. I don't think we was really the hood, but I don't know what's really considered the hood when you say the hood. Is hood you just calling the hood as your neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? But we had our regular challenges like anybody else. Growing up. Mom's not working. My mom, growing up without, my dad in the house and, but my mom, we had a house where they owned the house and they built the house as little kids. And they had a lot of rooms in the house. So I remember that my uncle was there, my mom was there, my grandmother, and I believe my other uncle. So we had a lot of us in the house. So, challenges for me, I had a lot of them growing up and I got challenges today, but me, I look at challenges as defeats. So when I see a challenge, I look at it as, this is something to make me better, to make me understand something, to make me figure it out, to make me figure out the recipe so this situation won't happen to me again. And for me, when I go through challenges and issues, it makes me fight harder. It makes me come out a soldier. It makes me come out victorious, so that way when I hit it again, it won't, affect me so much. So me, challenges, yeah, I had a lot of them, but I would say it's just your regular traditional stuff that you grew up in household, when you want certain things and you can't have it. But me, when I saw I couldn't have it, when I got to the point I could work, man, I was working 20 and 30 jobs at one time so I can get the things that I wanted to. I always worked at the same place. Maybe, if I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Pizza Hut too. If I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Burger King too. If I worked at Church's Chicken, which I did, I worked at Popeyes too. If I worked at Pizza Hut, which I did, I worked at Domino's during the day and Pizza Hut at night. So, that's the kind of person I was growing up as a kid and the same as today, So challenges are challenges, but, again, I had a regular share of challenges that we all would have, growing up, as youth, young adults.
Now, let me ask you this, because I always got to ask you, man.
Yep.
Tell me about the CDs and all that, and the selling, back in the days when y'all was young, about going to the go.
Oh man, the CDs and man, coming up with that whole era and just that whole direction, man, with the CDs and the videos and I know Woody definitely, he had mentioned this, man, and every time he had called me with people on the phone because they can't believe how much money me and Woody made in school. Me and Woody, man, we would stand in the hallways and just sell tapes, PG College. Man, we would make a killing on the tapes, man. Don't let Fat Rodney or Mickey have a solo. Oh, man, please don't let that happen. If that happened the next day at school, that Monday or that week after Woody got the tape or I got the tape, or don't let Fat Rodney or not Fat Rodney or Stinkadink or Tony Blunt get on the mic at Red S's show or Northeast Groove show, oh man, it's over. Or the next day, man, we make a killing. Two for 25.
So let me ask you this: Did y'all go to school together? You and Woody?
Yeah. So me and Woody actually was best friends in school, and me and Woody we was in some of the same classes together. We was the class clown. I don't know what he told you. Man, we used to joan like crazy. I mean, man, we would joan so bad.
What grade?
I think I was in class with Woody all through from ninth all the way up.
So what school? What school?
Falmouth Heights.
Okay.
Falmouth Heights. Yeah, we went to Falmouth Heights together. And, so in Falmouth Heights, man, me and Woody, we all used to go to Go-Go's together. His father used to drop us off, take us to the, may he rest in peace, and his mom. But his father used to take us to go. I used to spend the night at Woody house. And another friend of mine named Charles and Fats, we all was good friends. And, when we got in, Woody was always in the tape era. He was always in the Go-Go. Always. He was always getting the tapes. He was always selling the tapes. And then once and I was always selling the tapes. I was a collector of tapes too. So me and Woody would kind of trade tapes. And then, man, we used to go to, back in the day, where Circuit City used to be on Landover Road, where the stadium is at right there. What's that? Used to be not Sam's Club. I forgot what it used to be. But man, we used to go right there. Me and Woody, man, we would buy. They would call them bricks. Man, we would buy bricks of tapes. Man, we would buy the whole store. They would have to order tapes because we were coming in and buy out all the tapes. And of course, I remember Hug used to go back in the day. But man, the tapes, man, I never forget it. When I started selling the tapes real heavy in Northeast Groove time, man, I was taking pictures. I was selling tapes. Okay. And
because I'm kind of like building up until you came into the Northeast Groove.
Oh, got you. Yeah. So, so from school, man, me and Woody, we would sell tapes in the hallway. We would sell tapes once we got out of Falmouth Heights. We would sell tapes in college, PG College, staying right in the hallway, man. And we just sell the tapes, man. And really just went from there, man. And, shout out to Woody because he's still doing it. Woody's still selling the tapes. He's still putting the history out there, with the music, and he's not letting the music die. He's not letting the music lay under his bed or in the storage somewhere. He getting it out to the public, and that way the history will never die out, and it will always still be here for us.
Salute, Woody.
You about ready over there? Talk to him, nigga. Now we gonna wait on it all until y'all get in that groove, all right? Y'all let us know when y'all get in that funky stuff, all right?
Woody Woods, I call him the Nostradamus of Go-Go.
Woody, he got the history, man. If somebody got that history, it's definitely Woody. And definitely Big Butch too, man. I know a lot of people don't shout out Big Butch, because of his past and stuff like that, man. But, Big Butch got a lot of us started, man. And a lot of tapes and stuff came from him. And, sad that he, with all the stuff, going on in his life. But, Butch was he was a good guy back in the day, man. He let my band play. He started us off, Total Groove. We had our first show at Landover Hills Firehouse. I can't remember what band we played with, but, he really started that tape thing like that, man. Butch had the hotline selling the tapes and all of that. And I can't forget my man Kwame, too. Kwame had the tapes. My man Nico, PA Palace, all those guys. I used to sell tapes to PA Palace, to my man Ray and his buddy Pat, rest in peace, Ray. So yeah, man, we can't forget about all those guys, like y'all said, the people that came in front of them.
Don't forget about later on, Go-Go Paradise kept it going.
Oh, yeah. I can't, sure can't. And I can't forget about, what's my man at Iverson Mall? I mean, not Iverson Mall. Yeah, the Iverson Mall. Yeah, by the movie theater. I just saw him not too long ago. I can't forget. He used to take the Slick. My man Slick. Can't get for Slick either. Man, but there's a lot of people, man. Like I said, you get this shouting out names, you definitely gonna forget everybody.
Yeah. So now it's time to get into it.
Yes, sir.
First of all, let me ask you this before we get into it. how many siblings did you have, and where did you fall in that pack of siblings? Or did you have none?
Oh, brothers and sisters? Oh yeah, so on my mom's side with just my mom, I have a sister and I have a brother. Then on my dad's side, I have how many brothers on my dad's side? Like four brothers and one sister on my dad's side. So yeah, just with different mothers and stuff like this, it's a lot of folks, but just on my mom's side, just my brother and my sister.
Yeah, like I'm the oldest of two families, so I understand. My dad had me with my mom, and then he had more children with his wife, and I'm the oldest of everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm the oldest on my mom's side. Yeah.
Okay. We got that big brother thing going on. So
that's it.
So let me ask you this, okay? Man, you gave us a plethora of information, man. I don't know if I said that word right, but you gave us a lot.
There you go.
anyway, man, all of that is the roots, and that's important. Now we'll talk about the blooming, when the flowers start to bloom.
There you go.
So
put that shit down and shrimp drop. Be easy, Nicky. Hey, so we can make it real clear. I want y'all to listen up and listen good. Huh? Let's go. Oh shit. Hey, Riri. Oh shit. Easy go for Mickey. Easy go for Mickey. We're gonna do this one time.
how did you come into playing for the historical Northeast Schools?
So, that all started when I played, when was it? Let's see. What happened? I would say, let's see. Right, so my buddy Greg Hall, right? And Maestro that played keyboard for Northeast Groove. We all went to Family Heights together. So Maestro, I didn't really know Maestro, but Greg Hall knew Maestro. And Greg knew that they had a band. And Greg had told him about me, like, man, my man Jeff, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And he was like, all right, yeah, we'll check him out. So I think from Maestro, I went to a rehearsal. And from that rehearsal, it was like, wow, yeah, we want him to play. But they had Andre at the time, the drummer Andre. And I guess, I don't know if Andre was kind of fizzling out, but me and Andre both would play. I would play and then Andre would play. But then it got to the point where it was just really all on me and they just really wanted me to play. And I think maybe Andre, maybe didn't want to play no more. And I don't really know the history or the story behind that. That is another good question. Like, what really happened with Andre? That's a good question. So I became the drummer. And then the rest was history, man.
Can't forget about Sweet Ludi, y'all. Also Valerie. Dynamite District Honeys, y'all. Yeah. Can't forget about Icy Ice Productions, y'all. Making it impossible. Good PA man Junior, y'all. My man Junior's in the house. Also stepping out the two-time twins, y'all. For making it safe for the energy to roll out. Also, sweet, lovely, luscious later, y'all. That fan, baby. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Don't get to it yet, Gio, man. Don't get me started just yet, man. Can't forget about them Stemo One brothers. Also MLK. They from around Gio way. That good Martin Luther King Highway crew. Talking about Big Red Hall. Chapel Oaks brothers, y'all. All that 53rd, 49 straight crew. That's that Jammin Jeff crew, y'all. Talking about Big Iggy and TKO Roll. Them A1 brothers are good to go now. Can't forget about Moscow. Big Rolling brothers, y'all.
Okay, so was you there when they had the first rappers and then Rapper Little came in?
Yeah, so when I got to Northeast Groovers, it was Kurt. No, actually, it was a guy by the name of John. If I'm saying his name right, he was the rapper. John was the rapper, and I think I can't really remember clearly, but I think Kirk was there. Rapper Chris, he was there, but Chris was playing the cowbell. And the whole band was there except for 32. 32 didn't come later. And I was really like the missing link. So once I came, that's when everything started to gel and the band was really starting to take off. And I think the guy, the rapper John had left. I think my buddy Greg was trying to rap too with Northeast Grooves. I don't think that worked out. And I think John didn't work out. And then Kurt became the main rapper and Chris was backing Kirk up playing the cowbell. And that's when everything really started kicking off and everything started moving. And Smoke, he wasn't there yet. Tommy Guns was playing congos. So that was the original when I was there as far as Northeast Groovers. Kurt, Chris on cowbell, Tommy Guns on congos. And Dig Dug, he was always there.
Okay. And Kyrie.
Yep, and Kyrie, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we don't want to leave them out. So tell
and
me
Joe
about,
Dye, of course. I think Joe Dye was there. If I'm not mistaken, I think Joe Dye either was there in the beginning of me or he came right when I came. I can't remember.
Okay. So I remember moving to Riverdale. My first wife. We moved to Riverdale around that. She moved there around 91. I came there around 92. So that tell you where I came from. So anyway, when I got there, the neighborhood was buzzing. And man, you know, I'm an old RE guy, right? But this neighborhood was buzzing and it's kind of feel the same nostalgia as I was a teenager when RE was cranking.
Mm-hmm.
And they was talking about this band called the Groovers. You know, I said, Groovers? I said, man, who was this? They said, nah, Northeast Groovers. Then they started letting me hear tapes. And water go down the hole and, you know, Sassay, Shantae, wait a minute.
Right. Oh, you naming all the good stuff there.
Yeah, and that's when the ST period was it. You know what I'm saying? And I started listening to you guys, right? I said, man, these guys is the second coming of RE. That's how I coined it. And so, man, you guys had the same effect on the, and that's what younger people were going to go-go's. See, we talked about this. You know, they lost the thing of young people going to go-go's.
Yeah.
When young people was going to go-go's, they was getting in cars and stuff. I used to sit on my balcony and see the street where they all the main street, and they all was piling up in cars, man. Kenilworth Trip and all these guys, and they was like, man, I'm talking about droves of young guys going to see Northeast.
One of our missions here at LDTV is to capture the true history of DMV culture and music from the actual people who lived and helped establish it. We live in a time where the original process is being lost. It's a labor of love and respect to those who gave their lives to a music that we can truly say belongs to us. Real stories matter.
And tell me about that early 90s. You know, it was like the Beatles, man.
Man, the 90s, that year was, man, that was an incredible year. You know, that was one of the best times I know for sure of us, you know, being in the band, because that's when we was really coming into ourselves in the early 90s. I mean, you know, and then you're right, you have all the bands. I mean, Essence was killing it around that time in the 90s. I mean, and then you had who else you had? You had Junkyard. Junkyard was killing it too around that time. You know, Junkyard, you know, Heavy One and all of them guys. And Rare Essence, man, they was at the peak of the Rushmore Mountain. They was killing it. But yeah, man, the 90s, man, definitely, you know, was a good time, you know, coming in to that time when Northeast Groove was with me. I remember around that time we played at what you call that place? Around that time, that's when we got out the helicopter out at Wilmer's Park around the 90s. Because really I think that was, well, you know, I don't want to get it wrong. I would have to look at my tapes to look at the real dates. But the 90s, from the 91 and 92s, I know that those were the best times for Northeast Groovers. We had a lot of iconic tapes, a lot of iconic shows and recordings, and man, we was cranking and killing it around that time. Yeah, man. You know, and you know, like I said, you know, we was around that time, we was just really becoming who we were around that time. You know, we was still building back in the 90s, you know, because I don't know if you guys know, Northeast Groovers went to a thing of we was trying to become like a national artist. So Northeast Groovers a little bit wasn't working. So we was trying to work out a thing of the Any Boys. I don't know if you guys know that. So the Any Boys it was almost like New Edition. We was trying to be something like them with Hug and Kirk and me, Tom, Kyrie, Maestro at the time. So we was trying to become like a national recording artist. We had a guy by the name of Shelton Heartbeat, rest in peace. He was working with us. He's from the Kentland, Palmer Park area. And he was real heavy in the music. You know, they had a lot of influences. They knew a lot of people that was in the, you know, the music world, as far as the national artist world. So, you know, we was really building and becoming ourselves back in the early 90s, Northeast Groovers. But yeah, like I said, man, that was a good time. It was a lot of learning years for us, you know, coming up around that time.
I didn't get to see Kirk and all them, but I heard about them because I'm a student too. But during my era that I was telling you about, the late 70s, early 80s, there was, at Rare Essence, there was James Funk and Lil Benny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Tell me how, and I always said these two guys remind me of the new James Funk and Lil Benny. Tell me how it came to be the rapper in 32 to go on that front line position.
So 32, before he came, we was playing at the Raceway out in Forestville. 32 was playing with Junkyard at the time. And I believe, I'm not sure what happened with him and Junkyard or whatever band at the time. And, you know, it kept saying, man, what about this guy named Dave? What about Dave? So we was excited because he used to play with Junkyard. So we was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's bring him in. And, you know, man, Dave came in and, you know, he was real hype. And, you know, we was already, you know, Northeast Groove, we come from the era of go hard. No matter who's in the go-go, we go hard. I don't care if it's one person in there. We gonna play like it's a million people. So, that's how we were. That's how we played as a band, as a unit. We just went hard. And 32 was the same way. Soon as he came in with us, also Smoke. Smoke came in with us around the raceway time. Him and 32. And man, once 32 came, and we practiced a lot. And once we practiced and started gelling, and everything started coming together. Most bands would practice for like 2 hours, man. We would practice all day, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 hours, man. Everybody be at Miss Pratt House all day. And I think for Rapper and 32, that's how they really became as great as they are playing together, because one, we rehearsed a lot, and then two, they was hungry. Of course, they was real hungry. Rapper was hungry, 32 was hungry, and then we had so many shows. So the shows that was your practice anyway. So the shows help you to kind of gel together to become, who they are today. And I feel as though, with all them, I call it now go-go hours or playing hours. We got so many playing hours and go-go hours, that helps you to become who you are. That helps you to become great, because somebody threw you. The go-go is in the fire. You in the fire. Somebody threw you in the fire. Once you hit them sticks and it's time to play, you in the fire. So either you're going to be trash or you're going to be good or you're going to be okay. So, I just think you learn from those shows, and that's how they became tight as a unit.
Lion's Den Television is more than just the DMV. We salute people from every walk of life, in every path that empowers human beings to be better. Pioneer and legend are words earned by many men and women, and we have the Flowers 60-minute documentaries ready to pay homage. Real stories matter. One race, human, fight with film.
Man, so with the bands, how we all come up with originals and, iconic songs like The Water and Booty Call and all that stuff. Man, it's based on the vibe. It's based on the feel. It's based on the time. It's based on you just doing something and made a mistake. And the mistake went from, wow, this, man, let's develop something from this. I remember Booty Call. I was just playing around, and at a show, we made a Booty Call water dance, a lot of that stuff at shows. I remember and I said this on another interview, if you get the recording from Central High School, that's when we developed Booty Call, and I believe the water dance, but I think Booty Call for sure. Because I remember I was just playing around. I said, man, I'm going to do this little roll. And I was like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I was trying to mimic, the reggae song, dun, 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 dun.
Everybody, make a booty call, y'all. My 414 stars out there. Mad Rebel, the 7 band. Hey, I said don't be blind, show me why. Let's up, Big Daddy. Hey. Well, don't be shy. Show me why, girl, when you're getting that down in the butterfly. Don't be shy. Show me why, girl, when you're getting that down in the butterfly. Yeah. Don't be shy. Show me why.
Dun, 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 dun. I was trying to mimic that, and I had that in my head, and I did it based on that, and we just was playing around, and then I just did the beat, and then, a lot of that stuff just come from accidents and playing at the show. And when you go back and hear the recording, you like, wow, let's make something to this. So that's what we would do. We would hear those beats. And of course, we were a beat band. Like, we had beats with numbers. So we had 1 through 20 of 20 different beats. We would just hold up a number and we'd go beat number 1, beat number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we would take a beat with music, and Chris and them and Hug, they were good at hooks and coming up with lyrics and stuff like that. And that's how we would develop and put songs together. Because we would take a recording and be like, wow, we're going to take that recording and we're going to work from what we just heard and try to put something to that.
Incredible. So what would you like to leave as your legacy, man? What would you like to leave?
Man, it's funny you say that as a legacy. For me, it's a couple of things I would love to leave as a legacy. Number one, I'm already doing the number one is creating music and creating my vision and my vibe and my mind of what I think go-go is and what go-go sounds like. And all of my music that I have out there right now, I just completed an album called Therapy. This is my fourth album. My first album is called Anticipated. The second one is Highly Anticipated. Then I got another one. I can't even remember the name of the third one, but I think it's called Flight. And that's an instrumental of my first album. And then I had my third album is Therapy. And really, I named it Therapy because the music is therapy. It's therapeutic, and you think about it. When you guys go to the go-go, you might have a rough day, bad day. Kids might have made you mad, your girlfriend, your wife, or whatever, bills, your man, or whoever, right? You go to the go-go, you see your folks, man. You hear that beat, man, all that stuff go out the window. When that beat kick in, man, that smile, that look, it's just a look just hit your face and your feeling that you get. So I call it therapy because, man, go-go to me is therapy and the music is therapy. When I go in the studio, it's therapy. So for me, what my legacy is, one, I have my music that I can always turn to. My kids can turn to and say, wow, this is what my dad did. This is, how he played. This is the music. This is his vision. And the biggest thing for me is if I go out of town somewhere, I go to Bahamas or, Jamaica or wherever out of the country, I can say, hey, here go my music. I'm right here on Apple Music. I'm right here on Spotify. I'm right here on, any kind of platform. This is my music right here. Not only this is my music, this is where I come from, the DMV. This is our music right here. This is our kind of music. Because I would meet people when I go out of town, especially you see a musician, say, hey, I'm a drummer from this place or keyboard player or whatever. And, a lot of people don't know about go-go, but a lot of them do. And you want them to hear your music. So number one for me is leaving a legacy of music that people can just play and it'll be here forever. And then number two, the legacy is really making sure that the young folks that's coming up behind us don't forget the foundation. Don't forget the pockets. Don't forget the beats and the sockets. Of course, we know everything changed in the world. We know everything changed with time. Music changed with time. Life changed with time. But let's not forget the foundation. Let's make sure they know the beats. They know the sockets. Because a lot of that is us. A lot of those beats are us. A lot of those sockets is us. And, for me, without those, man, I don't know what I would do. I love the bounce beat. I love the new generation of music and the bounce beat. I love it, man, because they just takes it to another level, the youth. But, I just don't want to forget, where it all come from. That's the biggest thing. And then for me, the legacy is just learning and knowing the foundation of music. And then my last one is us really being recognized as a genre of music. So when you go upload your music to DistroKid or Apple Music or whatever, they don't have go-go. It's called what is it called? R&B, or they got Afro beats. They have that, but they don't have go-go. So really, just recognizing our music for the culture, for a national music. And everybody always say, "Oh, we wanted to go national." The music is already national. You get Chuck Brown, you got Trouble Funk, you got EU, movies, the music is in movies. Junkyard, the Cab, DC Cab, that's in, a movie. And then you can't forget about Trouble Funk. I always see the Jim Carrey movie, I think it's called Liar Liar. And the Trouble Funk song comes on when they in the club. And I'll be like, wow, that's crazy. It's Trouble Funk music is playing. So the music is already national. It's already out there. But, like the goal is how to keep it nationally, how to make it where we are considered national artists, but, maybe it might never be that, but maybe it might be, just for here in the DMV. But, that's one of my, goals or future, in my mind, if that could really hit for us in that kind of way.
I said, Jumbo, I don't hear you. So, real quick, I'm gonna give you some rapid
some rapid fire right now before we close. Okay. What group you currently with, and how did it come about? Real quick.
What group? What?
What group are you with now?
Okay.
And how did it come about?
Yeah. So right now, fellas, I'm with the big bad District Kings. District Kings started with me, Gogo, Mickey, and Bojack, the Three Kings, as we are considered the Three Kings of Go-Go.
The love is why I live. I vow to protect and cherish your heart. Each moment that you give. Let me be a Superman, running as fast as I can. I'll fly around the world just to save your pretty girl. Coming down in one swoop for your love, I'll come through. I'm here to save the day. Let me wipe your fears away.
I've been waiting for someone like you to love me, 'cause I need love, good love. So show me what's in store, restoring me what's real, 'cause I've been
Kings was the idea came from when me, Bojack, and Gogo Mickey was in the studio just doing some beats, and we just was talking about, man, we should put together a band and just come back. You know what? We gonna put together this band, and you know what? We kings in this business, so let's call it the Three Kings. So we're not sure we're gonna keep the Three Kings. We're thinking about District Kings or DMV Kings. So the Kings is in the Kings somewhere, because we feel like we kings in this business. We done been in the business for so long. So for us, it's bringing a good core of musicians together. We vets in it, we've been in it for so long. And for us, it's just giving the people something great, just giving back. People seeing that we about to start again.
Take a walk with me. And you talk to me. Take a walk with me now. You really rock with me. Take a walk with me.